Our main message through this documentary is to expose companies that claim not to animal test and to better educate other people on animal testing. Animal testing on cosmetics has become a huge issue around the world. The United States does not currently require cosmetics to go through animal testing, but it is still in effect.
Countries such as India, Israel, and Europe have started the movement to end animal testing for cosmetics by banning it in their countries, but other major countries such as China still require cosmetics to undergo animal testing before they allow those products to be sold in their country. China requires that all cosmetics be tested on animals. Therefore, cosmetics companies selling products in China are not cruelty-free. Brazil also requires that some, but not all, cosmetics be tested on animals.
The main animals that cosmetic companies test on are bunnies, rabbits, and mice. Chemicals are dropped into the bunny's eyes to see how long it takes to burn away the cornea. They rub the chemicals into the animal's skin to see its reaction.
The bunnies used are usually killed after undergoing painful and traumatizing testing. So we decided to call various makeup companies to see if they support or do not support animal testing. The Federal Food and Drug Administration prohibits the sale of unsafe cosmetics but does not require those to be animal tested. Cosmetic companies can use ingredients with long histories of safe use. Nearly 50 non-animal tests have been validated already. Some examples of testing are to drop chemicals into the cornea, like 3D tissue structures produced from human cells, or human skin cultures can be grown and purchased for skin irritation testing.
Neither the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act nor FDA regulations require animal testing of pharmaceuticals. However, animal safety testing has become the default standard for the FDA and will require at least 2 species of animals. Although the FDA does not require animal testing, they prefer it. The FDA encourages development of non-animal methods, yet they need to replace all the tests necessary to meet FDA's standards. Companies worry about submitting non-animal data even though they are more accurate non-animal testing. There is no regulation requiring animal testing for cosmetics and personal care products.
The FDA has no jurisdiction over these products until they are marketed, at which time they may be recalled if shown to be unsafe. The EPA regulates pesticides, industrial chemicals, and other categories of potentially toxic or unsafe materials. The EPA requires animal safety testing for many of these materials. Until the FDA and EPA become more receptive to proven alternative methods and more proactive in promoting them with the companies it regulates, those companies and contract research organizations will likely continue testing on animals.
Who is Mary Kay aiming for when they're marketing their products? Like, what is the main target group that they're selling to? Well, what age group would you say?
Well, we have a new line of products that caters for women starting young girls with acne, so from 14 plus.
Okay. What is your philosophy as a company?
What's my philosophy of what?
As a company.
Oh, the philosophy as a company
Yes.
is to do unto others as we'd like them to do unto us, and to empower women.
Okay, and do you think that the vendor makes it easy for potential buyers to evaluate what's in your products?
Yes.
How do you ensure that your products are safe?
They go through our scientific team that works through them and checks them, and they're also are certified by Good Housekeeping.
What is that? Certified by Good Housekeeping.
Good Housekeeping is like a company that researches products and makes sure that the ingredients in the product do what is advertised. So they make sure that the products are legitimate.
Okay. Does Mary Kay support animal testing?
Do they support what?
Animal testing.
No. I don't think any of our products are tested on animals.
One second.
I think we're under the board, so probably not.
So you say that Mary Kay does not animal test?
I don't the animal testing.
Okay. Do you think that you're required by law to animal test?
I'm required by law to what?
To test on animals to ensure the safety of the products?
No.
Huh. So, if you learn that
They're tested on humans, you know. We have a group of people who we test the products on before we bring them out to the public.
Okay. So if you learn that your company tests on animals, would you continue to support this company?
I'm not sure, because for me it's more the philosophy and what goes behind the company as a whole versus what they test the product on. So I mean, as long as it's done humanely, I still would, yeah.
So you would still continue to be a beauty consultant at Mary Kay?
Yep.
Okay. Well, did you know that on your website that it says that you are required by law to test on animals?
Oh, does say that?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, do you feel like your company makes it clear that you test on animals to consumers?
No, because then I would have known, I guess. Maybe I just didn't do enough research.
So, how do you feel after you learn that?
I don't feel any different.
So you don't feel like it's wrong that your company that you're supporting and advocating like tests on these animals?
No, because like I said, it depends. As long as the testing is humane and legal, then they shouldn't be an issue.
How do you know that they're humane and legal?
That's what I'm saying. As long as it is humane and legal, then they shouldn't be an issue.
Right, but how would you personally know that?
I wouldn't, just like you wouldn't.
Right. Okay. So, do you feel like your sales decrease due to the fact that you do test on animals? Do you feel like it makes an impact at all in your sales?
No.
Any other person I could talk to?
I'm a supervisor here. This line is dedicated to answering questions specifically about product questions or product-related questions.
So there's no one that can.
Outside of that,
So there's no one that could.
company does not have. No, ma'am. They're not outside of L'Oreal.com or Lancome.com. Okay.
Your products all natural, or is it just?
No, we're not all natural.
Okay. Who would you say that your target group is for marketing your products?
It's a variety of people as far as that goes. It's for all skin types, sensitive skin mainly.
Okay. What do you feel that your philosophy is as a company?
As far as that goes, just providing good skincare.
Okay. Do you think that the vendor makes it easy for potential buyers to evaluate what's actually in your products? Is there any way I could ask you just a couple more questions?
I do apologize, and I'm not allowed to.
Why are you not allowed to ask me more questions?
It's just our policy.
It's your policy? Because there's some conflicting interests on your website about certain topics.
Okay, that would be the most accurate information. So that's what you should abide by.
I was just wondering if, how y'all ensured your products are safe.
Okay, sure. I can definitely pull up some information regarding that here. Just bear with me for one moment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so product safety has always been a top priority for Clinique. We do go through state-of-the-art testing methods for all of our products, and every product is first evaluated using a series of in vitro assays to validate their safety. Only after passing these initial studies do we begin testing on volunteer panels. These studies include exaggerated conditions to determine the potential for irritation, stinging, allergic reaction, and phototoxicity. Every Clinique formula is tested by a medical research team supervised by dermatologists, and the clinical testing includes repeat insult patch tests on 600 people who receive a total of 7,200 applications of a product. If a single instance of an allergic contact dermatitis occurs, the formula is not approved for manufacture. The Clinique laboratories do not test ingredients or finished products on animals, nor do we ask others to test on our behalf, except where it is required by law. And the products manufactured by Clinique laboratories are produced under a stringent quality control system. Product quality and integrity remain paramount as we aim to succeed the high expectations of our customers worldwide. Do you have any more specific questions? And that's sort of like an overview of what kind of testing we do for all of our products.
Okay, oh no, that was very helpful, thank you. I just wanted to know if you did support animal testing or not.
Right, and so when it comes to animal testing, we are a worldwide company, so where it is required by law, we must abide by those laws, but that is the only instance where we do participate in the animal testing.
Okay, so what do you mean by you're required by law to animal test?
And so some countries out there, in order to sell the products in that country, they have to go through that testing method.
Okay.
Here in the United States, that's not one of our requirements, but like I said, there are some countries out there, and since we are sold in many different countries worldwide, we do have to abide by those laws because we're interested in selling the products in those countries. Next, being part of the Estee Lauder companies. Estee Lauder companies has a long-standing commitment to end animal testing, and that carries through to the MAC brand as well. So we do not test our products on animals, as well as our ingredients on animals, nor do we ask others to test on our behalf, except we're required by law.
So what does that mean, that you're required by law to test on the animals?
Well, we are not. We don't do any testing, ourselves.
Okay. So you do. So Max does not support animal testing.
Right. There's, it's been a long-standing commitment to ending animal testing.
Mhm.
So, the Estee Lauder companies was one of the forefront companies for ending that type of testing for cosmetics.
Okay, so what would be like the circumstances to where like you would have to be required by law to test on animals? Like, I know y'all don't do it currently, but like what would be a circumstance to where you would have to?
If there were other countries that required it by law, that they do the testing themselves.
Okay.
That's something that, they do sometimes require.
Okay.
Because it says under PETA, the website, it says that you do currently test on animals.
Right. So, with that claim, it's something that, because of this being required by law, they can't claim to be completely cruelty-free.
So how do you know that how do you ensure your customers that you don't animal test? I mean, other than you just telling me over the phone that you don't.
I'm not really sure how to answer that question. I don't understand. They don't allow tours of the factory, if that's what you're asking. I don't understand.
No, I was asking more on behalf of, like, you're telling me that you don't animal test, but how do you ensure that your customers that you don't animal test at all?
We really don't have a way of ensuring. It's something that, our company does not do. So we're constantly contributing funds to institutes for in vitro sciences. So that way, testing and laboratories and things of that nature, it's for the advancement of that, so that non-animal testing methods can be used worldwide.
Okay. So are you marketing to your consumers that you do not animal test? Like, do you feel that you
Not marketed that way, no. We can't claim, to be cruelty-free. That's why the little bunny is not on any of our packaging.
Okay. So, but do you feel like your sales would increase if you said that you do not animal test at all and made that more known than other than your website?
Yeah, I can't answer that would be my own personal opinion and not an opinion of the company.
Okay.
So I really can't, answer.
And as far as the animal testing, Johnson & Johnson does not test cosmetic products or ingredients on animals, except in those cases where testing is required by law or government regulations.
Okay, and exactly what does that mean? Or yeah, like what exactly does it mean, like required by law?
Certain ingredients, or in certain countries, in order to have that product available, or certain countries do have products required to be tested on animals by law. In certain areas or certain new ingredients, but our policy on testing cosmetic products or ingredients on animals is only when testing is required by law or government regulations. So if the governments are telling us to do it, we may do it, but that's only when it's required by law.
Do you make it clear that your company tests on animals to the consumers?
We don't test on animals unless it's required by law.
Do you think enough people are informed and aware of the usage of animal testing for cosmetics?
So in 2011, we conducted a national survey that you can find on our website, and we've actually asked participants if they were aware of the millions of rabbits, guinea pigs, and mice that are killed every year to test cosmetics, and 62% of them responded saying they were aware of the testing. So, in terms of your question, are there enough people? I would say no, because we would like that to be 100%, but that is the majority of Americans who say they're aware that animal testing is conducted.
Okay. Do you think that this fact changes what people decide to buy?
I am not sure. We do see that more and more companies are becoming cruelty-free or coming out as cruelty-free, and we think this is a large part because people know and then, change their practices, their purchasing practices. So I would hope so, but, there's nothing scientific to show that it does.
So going along what you said, so do you think there are more or less companies that test on animals than ones that do not?
This is a difficult question also because there are a lot of very small companies. So if you are looking, PETA actually has a list of companies that do and do not test on animals. So if you look at that, you'll see that the list of companies that do not test on animals is much longer than the ones that do test on animals, but the ones that do test on animals are the larger companies, the ones that you'll find in Walmart or Target or your grocery store. So in terms of sheer numbers, there are more companies that avoid animal testing, but the ones that do are the big ones.
So why do you think it's important to end animal testing?
I think it's important, first and foremost, because of the ethical implications. I don't think that an animal should ever have to die to become the next shade of lipstick or the next, brand of mascara. But I do think that there are also, there are scientific reasons why we should avoid animal testing. Testing on animals has a very poor rate of telling us how a chemical will respond to a human. So it's actually not good science and not good public health to
test on animals. And then for companies, there's a cost implication. A lot of times, animal tests are more expensive than non-animal test methods. So we see it as a win-win-win for everyone involved.
So if it is cheaper, then why aren't these companies switching to non-animal alternatives?
It's not always cheaper. A lot of times you have to spend a little bit of money getting the infrastructure set up, but after that, it often is cheaper. After the whole new lab is set up, but there's also there's a lot of momentum with using animal tests, and a lot of times that's what everyone's taught in school. So, at the university level, and that's just what is commonly considered the gold standard. So people don't want to do something that's different from what they've always done.
Okay. Do you think that animal testing should be banned for everything, such as medicine and drugs, or only for cosmetics?
Yeah, so as I said previously, using animals is bad science, just from a purely scientific point of view, and a lot of scientists are starting to realize this. 92% of drugs that pass animal tests fail in humans, fail in human clinical trials. So pharmaceutical companies are starting to really realize this and are putting more effort into developing non-animal test methods. So I do think that animal testing should become a thing of the past for all uses: chemicals, pesticides, drugs, cosmetics. But we're not. The science has not developed technology to get there yet. But I do think that a lot of scientists are moving in that direction.
So when do you think that animal testing will be banned, and if so, where?
Animal testing for what?
Just in cosmetics, and drugs.
Well, cosmetics and what?
And drugs and medicine.
In the pharmaceutical world, I have no idea. That's going to be a longer battle. For cosmetics in the EU, the entire European Union has banned the testing of ingredients and final products on animals, and it also includes a marketing ban. So that says if an animal test has been conducted anywhere in the world, it cannot be sold in the EU. It's a very strict standard. So the EU has already banned animal testing, as has Israel, and India has also implemented or put on the books a new law to ban animal testing from being conducted in India. So there's a lot of momentum at the cosmetics level of moving in that direction. And all I can say is that each individual country has to move in that direction.
Do you think that the United States will become like the European Union, in which that we will ban all animal testing?
For cosmetics?
Yes.
That's something that I actually work on. I go to the Hill regularly, and I'm trying to meet with congressional offices to implement something similar to that. But right now, Congress is particularly slow at moving any kind of legislation. So, I don't see anything like that happening in the next few years. But that's definitely something that many organizations are working toward, including ours and me.
Okay. And why do companies continue to use animals? Oh, you already talked about that. Do you see this problem as getting worse or getting better?
Again, that's a hard. Do you mean specifically for cosmetics?
Yes.
I would say on the whole, I think it's getting better. I think more, and by getting better, I mean that fewer animals are being used. It's hard to say because there are no requirements that a company has to say how many animals they use in any given year or month or anything. There's no reporting requirement. So there's no way for us to know whether or not the number of animals is going down. I will say that most of the animals that are used for cosmetic testing and for all animal testing are mice and rats, and they are specifically excluded from the Animal Welfare Act, which is the only law that regulates how animals are used in laboratories. So that's the reason why we have no real knowledge of how many animals are used and if that number is going down. But we suspect it is, just because that's kind of the worldwide trend.
Okay, and then just my final question is, we actually called a bunch of these makeup companies, and online they said that the U.S. does not have animal testing, and they don't require it to have these cosmetics be sold. But so when they're selling to other countries, they said that they have to animal test.
There are certain countries, specifically China. There are others that have a little bit of an unclear regulation, like Brazil and Russia and a few others that honestly I'm not that familiar with their policies, but China for sure has a very clear policy that all ingredients and products must be tested on animals before it's sold in China. And China is one of the fastest growing markets in the world, so a lot of companies are trying to sell there because it will make them money. So there is a lot of effort to try to change Chinese regulations so that they avoid animal testing, but those are the only countries that China is the largest country that really has that. If they want to sell in other countries, they don't necessarily have to do animal tests.
Okay, and then could you just elaborate on like what you do like on a daily basis?
Sure. I work on all regulatory testing issues. So that means any test that's conducted for the purpose of being regulated. So food additives, pesticides, drugs, cosmetics, industrial chemicals, those are all examples of things that are regulated by the government. And so if there is animal testing that's requested or required for those, I work to reduce or eliminate the use of animals for those tests.
After researching, we wondered what the most common brand of makeup that girls our age used.